Okay, it's been a long time, and it's been sporadic because well, Hashem has good things the Yom Tovim, and we're up to Eis Yud Gimel, but there's a Torah in Sichos in Sichos HaRan that we didn't do yet, and it would be very, very wrong not to do. From time to time, we'll do something extra to fill in from Sichos HaRan and from Likutei Halachos. Generally, we're going to go through one Sicha after the other, try to move it at a good speed. But this is such a yesod in all of Rabbi Nachman's Torahs and all of his teachings. The inyan that we learned, it's already a long time, that we learned about the manias that a person has, that all of the bilbulum and all of the manias, that are all the things that are in the person's way, in Eisiyat Beis, that it's natural that a person feels that all of the koiches that he puts, all of the effort that he puts into overcoming these obstacles, that all of those koiches, especially if it doesn't work out the way that he was hoping for, that the koiches are stopped. It was a waste. It was just a terrible waste of time and of energy, and it was disappointing and so on. And what does all of that mean? So in Eis Yud Beis, in Sicha Yud Beis, Rabbi Nachman is saying how that all of the yigiyas, all of the effort that a person put into reaching something in Avodas Hashem, it's a bechina of karbanis. That's the last time we learned. It's a bechina of bringing a carbon to Hashem. Ki alecha haragnu kol hayom. That Hashem, for your sake, we die all day long. What does it mean? A person can only die once. It doesn't mean to die over and over. Dying, a person puts his kaiches into something and then doesn't work out, and he puts nacham all the kaiches into it and he fails. So one would feel that, you feel like you're a failure, Aleph and Beis, but what was the sense of all of that? So Rabbi Nachman's teaching us that alecha haragnu kol hayom, meaning that the person himself, the person brings himself as an offering to Hashem, and this repeated experience of trying and disappointing, which is a bechina of dying, of death. They were like slaughtered for your sake. So Rabbi Nachman says that you should know that that all of those yigiyas, all of the effort that a person makes, is considered korbanos that are brought to Hashem, which of course a korban is the highest thing. It brings the highest nachas ruach for the Bari Olam to bring a korban, as we see in the parasha with Noach, after the Mabul. And when a person brings his efforts to Hashem's Baruch, that's a bechin of a korban. And that all that a person can do, he ended this Sicha by saying, how something comes out, what it ends up, that's in Hashem's hands. We all know that, even though we know it, it's hard for us to remember that b'shas ma'isa when we're going through a hard time. And in the end, all of the yigiyas that a person makes, all of that in the end, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is machshav all of that, and the person should know that that's a bechina of karbanis. So in this Torah, in Likutei HaRan, that you have the photos that in front of you, it's one of a number of Torahs on this subject. This is the second chelik of Likutei HaRan, Likutei Tinyana, Eis Mem Vav. This is one of the Torahs that a person has to live with, in all of them, but to live with and to keep in his mind and his heart. This is one of the earliest Torahs that I remember ever learning many years ago, and I still walk around with it. It gives me a lot of chizik. Mesirus nefesh, yesh lo kol echad ve'echad miYisrael b'chol yom u'b'chol shah. Mesirus nefesh, sacrificing oneself. Every single Jew is Moshe Nefesh, b'chol yom and b'chol shah, every day and every hour. Kagan, for instance, shenaisan mamayin l'staka. When a person gives money to tzedakah, v'hamaman hu nefesh, and we know that money reaches into the nefesh of a person. Hamaman hu nefesh. it's with the money that a person has that he's able to be mechai his nefesh, to give, to live, to give life to his family. So Mammon is a bechin of nefesh. Mammon is not nefesh. Ki elevu naisias nafshe. Well, the pasuk says that the balabas has to pay the worker on time, right? It's a din from the Torah that you have to pay the worker his wages. Why? The Torah says ki elevu naisias nafshe. The employee is depending on you, the boss, for his soul, meaning for his check, and his check is elev naisias nafshe. He's depending on that. His soul depends on it, meaning we're not talking about the deepest part of a person, but from here Rabbi Nachman teaches us that mammon is something that touches the nefesh of a person. Therefore, the hainish ma'isa nafshe b'giyas v'sakanas kaidim shemaviach mammon. First of all, a person, in order to make money, has to be ma'isa nefesh. The hard work that a person has to put into parnasa. And oftentimes, Rabbi Nachman says, there are sakanas. There are all kinds of dangers that go into making a living. I understand in those days there were more sakanas that were involved, but there's all different sakanas. So, to make the money, you have to be ma'isa nefesh. You're putting your kishkes into it, your nefesh, into making the money. And this money that you gave your nefesh to make, the money is called nefesh. This worker, he put his nefesh into the work to make that money, to get that check. And then what does he do? And then afterwards he takes the money and he gives tzedakah. He gives that money up because Hashem wants him to give tzedakah. Nimsa, ma'isa nafsho. And every single penny, especially a person who's not wealthy, every single penny has his nefesh in it. Every single penny has the worker's nefesh in it. And he was ma'isa nefesh to get the money. And now he gives it away. His nefesh is inside the money. And he gives the money. Why? Because Hashem well said you should give it. You should give it to someone. That's Mesiras Nefesh. Night lamam v'naisa v'shil Hashem esbach. Nimsa ma'isa nafshay. V'chein b'tfila. And v'davening. Yisi b'medrash hanelam. It says in the Zohar Kodesh. Shi b'chinas ke'alecha hiragnu kol hayoyim. Here, Rabbi Nachman is touching upon what we were learning in the Sichos HaRan. That tefillah is, as we know, avodah. Tefillah now is in place of karbanos, instead of sacrificing. Except a carbon a person can bring once in a while. I'm not talking about the kind of the working of the mikdash, and even then, until it's your turn. But a klais, of course, we have karbanos for the tzibur, of course. But when it comes to davening, 3 times a day, a person's ma'isa nefesh. Ke'alecha haragnu kol hayom. Hainu Mesiras Nefesh. Ki tzarech yegiya gedola u'melchama gedola im hamachshavos v'habilbul. A person who's serious about davening, he has to put his nefesh into the davening. Just not. Rabbi Nachman says to overcome the thoughts that a person would normally have, and it's a big milchama. It's a big war. It's a big milchama. Davening. Chazal in the Zohar Kodesh called davening a time of war. It's a war within oneself. That's why we see that David HaMelech says, it's like David HaMelech's talking about davening, and he's talking about using a sword and to cut through. That the sword of the mouth is compared to a double-edged sword. And davening is a milchama. And a person has to fight against all of the machshavas, the thoughts, and all the bilbulim, and all the confusion. V'sachbulais, and he has to use all kinds of strategies. Lonus, v'levarach mehem, how to escape from the negative thoughts, from the destructive thoughts, how to run away. V'alzen nemar, kehalecha hiragnu kol hayom. And that's the deeper meaning of the pasuk, that for your sake we die all day long. Not just once, but all day long we try to daven, and we try to fight against those machshavos. It's mesirus nefesh. You put your nefesh into that milchama. Kamuva b'medrash hanelam nimsa shu mesirus nefesh. V'chein chayetze b'zeh. So Nachman says, you see that a Jew is meisa nefesh. Kol yom v'chol shah. Does not mean to die physically. Chol yom v'chol shah. Person's meisa nefesh. Obviously, the person doesn't put his kaiches into things, but it's mesirus nefesh if the person's doing it with all of his kaiches. B'da. And you should know, shahamini is sheyesh l'kol echad la'avodas habariyos baruch shamai. You should know that the manias, the obstacles that are in the way, sheyesh each person has.